Alrighty, I believe we're getting there, and I will know totally in one moment. Aloha, Facebook world. Okay, yeah, I think we're live. Okay, aloha, everyone out there in Facebook land. I'm Dr. Heather Tucker, and here we have another episode of Freedom Fridays with another amazing guest. I can't wait to share with you who she is. Amazing creativity coach, Women Speak Circle leader. We're going to be talking about liberating the power of your voice. And before we get into the topic, this show is all about supporting entrepreneurs in achieving business and life harmony and success. It is possible to stress less, strengthen our relationships, lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum, work smarter, not harder, and create time, money, and emotional freedom for ourselves and for our families. And so all the people that we bring to you have amazing wisdom that they have to share that can be able to support you in achieving your business and life harmony. So who we have today, we have amazing Gina Edwards. Just give her a round of applause, some hearts, anything that you can share in the chat and let her know the love that we have for her. She talks about how to really reclaim the power of your voice through writing. She has an amazing women's group, Women Writing for Change. And so you're definitely, after our message today, going to want to be able to connect with her even more to go deeper on this topic. If we don't share it, if we don't express it, then we become the world's best kept secret. And before we also get into it, I want to share that we have a business life harmony masterclass. Come learn about the power of business and life harmony and what it can do for you and your world. That'll be this Tuesday, and I'll put the link in the chat below as well. So everyone, go ahead and give Gina a round of applause. Gina, welcome to the show. We're so happy you're here today.
Thank you, Dr. Heather. I am so appreciative. I am really glad to be here. I've been excited about being able to spend some time with you today.
Yes, me as well. Well, you're doing so many amazing things for women around the world. I want you to go ahead and take it away and share with us this message. And if I have any questions, I'll be here. But I'm looking forward to hearing what wisdom do you have to share with us today?
Yes, please. I love conversations, so interrupt me anytime. But I did want to talk about, our official topic for today is liberate the power of your voice. And I recently heard you on an interview talking about how we are human beings, not human doings. That we are not meant to just do all the time, and we have a choice about the way that we choose to be. We have choice in the way that we show up in the world, and we want to do that in our true and authentic selves. We want to be true to ourselves, true to what we believe in, and true to what our values are. And that is, I think, the very first step in liberating the power of your voice, because you want to be able to present yourself to the world in the way that you truly are. Women have so many women have spent their entire lives living up to the expectations of other people, being the people that other people expect them to be. And when we do that, we tend to disconnect from our authentic selves. We really forget who it is that we are. And so in order for us to be able to stand in our truth, in order for us to be able to stand in the power and put that power behind our voice, we have to reconnect with ourselves. We have to sometimes relearn what our authenticity is. So I have a couple of tips for you today. Like I said, a lot of women have spent their lives living up to the expectations of others. And so if we're trying to be, so think about someone that you have seen who told a story at a dinner party, and then you saw them again later in another group outing, and they told the same story, but they told it a little bit differently. because they were with a different group of people and they were behaving a little bit differently. They didn't seem to be the same person that they were with this other group. And a lot of times we do find ourselves when we're in social situations, we're in our business environment, when we're in our family, that we may alter the way that we behave. And sometimes that goes against an alignment with our authentic selves. And so being true to who we are in all situations, again, is one more step in getting behind the power of your voice.
So Gina, can I pause you for a moment? Because I just want to
Absolutely.
highlight a couple of amazing things that you said. You know, I can only hold so much in my brain, but just want to recap what I heard you say. You know, a lot of times, especially women, we tend to see other people's judgments or other people's expectations or live up to other people's expectations, and that alters our voice and how we show up. And we can show up in different ways in different places depending on who we're around or what's going on. And that's different and contradictory to us living from an authentic place. Did I hear all this kind of right?
You did hear that right.
And so
you did hear that right.
You know, it just made me have this question, like, what is, and I know you're going to give us some awesome tips on how to be able to strengthen that, but what is the cost of continuing to operate that way? From your perspective?
From my perspective, it can actually take a toll on us physically. You know, this goes back to the whole theme of using the power of your voice and standing behind your truth. When we do not come from an authentic place, when we do not live who we truly are, that eats away at us over time. It eats away at us mentally, it eats away at us physically. And I am a living example of that. I was living up to other people's expectations. Women who tend to be peacemakers or fixers oftentimes are the types of women who equivocate. Sometimes they modify themselves or modify what they're saying, modify what they're doing, so that they are seen in the way that they expect people to, they hope that people will see them, but they're not necessarily coming from a place of authenticity when they do that. They're living up to the expectations of that other person. Now, if you have somebody that you respect and you look up to, there's a difference in identifying a quality in that person that you respect and maybe that you want to emulate in some way. And it's fine to sort of try that on, but you don't want to be that person. You know, if you're picking out a characteristic that you admire and you decide you want to kind of live into that and feel that out for yourself, that's great. But if that belief or that idea, you would talk about it in a different way than this other person would. You would have a different reason for why it resonates with you than that other person does. And so it's not enough for us to just copy somebody that we respect. It's fine to try on a few things, try on those characteristics or those attributes of that person to see whether they feel authentic to us. But the way that we present them in the world, the way we manifest them will be uniquely ours. So it's important for us to know who we are, to know what our values are, to know what our belief systems are. We do a lot of work in Women Speak in getting very clear on what our belief systems are, what it is that we want to be known for in the world, and how we talk about that. The words that we put behind that, the actions that we put behind that are coming from that deep place of truth and wisdom within us.
Oh my gosh. I love this because, and thank you for sharing, you know, the beauty of your story and your journey, you know, overcoming this and stepping into that power. See, I found also for me that it took away mentally and emotionally as well, you know, by not being that true to myself. And it goes to like our core values. Like instead of adopting and knowing our core values and operating from there, we'd be operating from the core values of other people. And that's where that pressure and that stress and all that stuff came in. And then when you take that pressure off and you come from this authentic place, it's just so much more powerful. So I appreciate you highlighting that.
And it is so much easier too, just all around, that situation that I talked about at the beginning about how, one person will act a certain way in front of one group and a different way in front of another. If you're coming from that authentic place, you're going to be you no matter who you are around. And, it's people who lie, they forget what lies they tell and they forget the details. And so when they're around another group, then they have to make up a different set of details because they forgot what they told that other group. They can't keep up with it because it's not coming from that authentic place. It's not a truth. And so when you're not standing in your own truth, you're effectively presenting a lie. And we don't want to do that to ourselves. Why would we want to put that kind of pressure on ourselves?
No. And it's interesting. So for those of you who are listening to this, recognize how that inauthenticity actually trickles out in everything that we do. Everything that we are and that we do is an extension of us. So like, for example, how our business is how we are, right? So that I'm so glad, like, if I feel like we amplified and highlighted the problem area, right? Like, okay, this is big. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, that are listening to this that resonate with that and know that it's okay. Have no fear because hope is here. Gina, can you go ahead and share with us some tips on, these are the things that we're struggling with. How can we overcome it? Like, what were the tips that you were going to share with us?
Well, first of all, forego the pretense and the pretending, be yourself. It's easy to say, just, don't worry about living up to the expectations of others. It's hard to live it. I know that it's hard to live it and it takes time and it takes practice. But as a general tip, and I've got something to gift to your listeners and viewers today that will go into a little bit more detail about this. But as a general tip, just foregoing that pretense and that pretending, knowing who you are, deeply knowing what your values and your beliefs are, and not compromising on those. Making sure that you understand what you want to be seen as and known as, what ideas you want to stand behind, and always living into those, not bending on them, not compromising on them, not equivocating. Women tend to equivocate a lot in terms of, bending their words, or maybe softening their words a bit so that it suits someone that they're talking to and doesn't offend or doesn't seem impolite. And we do that often and when we do that, we are not sometimes standing in our truths. I'm not saying that you need to be rude, because you can certainly still get your point across. If you disagree with someone, you can still get it across in a respectful manner, but not equivocating, not backing down on your ideas and your beliefs, just because you just because you believe that other person expects something different from you. I already mentioned, stop trying to be, somebody else. If you've got particular qualities of a person that you respect, certainly try those on for size, but do it in a way that is true to you. Positivity is always important because negativity doesn't get us very far. Just not accepting the negativity as a character trait. Something that I recommend, and I've got some very specific action steps in the gift that I want to share with your listeners, but one of the general steps is keep a journal. One of my favorite authors is Joan Didion. She was primarily known for her journalism work, and she's got several memoirs. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from her. And she says, "I write entirely to discover what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I see, what it means, what I fear, and what I want."
Oh.
I'm kind of paraphrasing that, but that is the power of writing. And keeping a journal is, to me, one of the most transformative things that you can do toward knowing yourself and growing yourself.
Gina, You just keep dropping so many awesome nuggets. It's almost like where to begin. So I love the part where you're talking about the authenticity, being transparent, being you, surrounding yourself with positivity. You also mentioned this part about keeping a journal. And I love this because I know for me, I tried to keep a diary when I was a kid and I hated it. I would only do like 1 or 2 days, right? And then I was like, and then I didn't want to write it because I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to be able to, like, what do you do when some of the stories are too difficult to share? You can either stuff them down or ignore them, or you can be able to figure out, okay, what's going on? And the power of writing allows you to be able to empty out, right? And then you look back at what you see and you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This connects to dots. It's like leaning into all this going on and also all that's possible.
All that's possible. All the beautiful. I'm so glad that you said that. What you said about, sometimes when we have stories that are too hard to feel into, we've got these emotions about something that are just too hard to live. And sometimes when we are able to get that story out, even if especially if we're putting it on paper and we're not sharing it with anybody, we're just writing it down for ourselves, then that emotion or that story tends to lose its power over us. To me, writing is the best way to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
It's the best way to understand our minds. It's the best way to really know ourselves and to really connect with ourselves.
And from I'll go from like our nerdy perspective here at Another Level Living. We talk about creating a healed heart and a renewed mind, and it's working on one accord, and how to really strengthen the communication with yourself and other people. And it really all starts with understanding the amazing wisdom and voice that you have. And a lot of it's deep down in our unconscious mind. We don't even know the amazing worth and value and wisdom that each person has, not just some people, but all people have this innate ability and this innate wisdom just ready to come out. And what you're sharing with us is that by the power of writing, the things that we go through can no longer have a stronghold on us if we get it out and express it. B, that we actually see some of the amazing wisdom that we already have in us and our message and our voice. And you may not have said this, but I guess what I'm realizing now as we're having this conversation is that it's also our messages for other people, because it can be empowering and uplifting and transformation for them as well.
Oh, absolutely. When we see someone else living their truth and standing in their power, that is so inspiring. And you can see it in people. It's visible. It's obvious when people are really in alignment with their truth, with their personal truth.
Oh, so true. So true. It's in their energy. It's in their whole being. Like they can be and it's interesting because I so related and connected with that woman at these two different places years ago. I lived in the country, I lived in the city. I was all around all these different people. And I felt myself adapting and changing to the situation or the circumstance or the people around me. And then when we reclaim not only our voice, but it's like our power, our energy, we have those healthy boundaries. We become like the steel rod. And that's what creates the consistency. That's what creates the authenticity, the ability to flow, the ability to, it just gets better and better. So tell us, what is this gift? Because you've been mentioning this gift and teasing us with it over the last few minutes or so. So what gift do you have to be able to share with us?
This is just a simple mini report. It's got 7 tips in it, some of which we've talked about today, but it's also got 3 actionable steps that you can take toward being your authentic self. When I am talking with women about, I won't say finding their voice, because I don't think we ever lose it. I think we just forget how to use it. So when I talk with women about claiming the power of their voice, authenticity being really high on the list, the first question I get, of course, then is, well, how do I do that? Because we are not accustomed to doing that. So this is just a simple mini report that will give you some tips and some actionable steps that you can take toward really assuring that you are being that authentic self in the world.
Okay. Where can we find it?
I just created this, and so I don't even have it on my website yet. So if you want to email me at Gina Hogan Edwards, and that's GinaHogan Edwards, all together, one word, at gmail.com. And just send it from an email address that you want me to send it back to, and I'll send that right off to you. And if you want to be put on my newsletter mailing list, then I'll add you to that. We've got a new newsletter that's just launching in May.
I love it. We'll also make sure to put that information in the chat so you can be able to get to her and send her that email and get these tips, get these strategies. So therefore, it's like breaking free from every chain that's preventing total success through the power of writing. The last thing I love that you had said was, it's not finding my voice, it's reclaiming the power of it. Because a lot of times when our voices, especially, we were talking about women and the oppression that has happened over the years and generations of how women have been perceived as less than. And the reality is we're more than. We're actually the emotional GPS of the whole family. How powerful are we, right? Because we help create the harmony.
We are the GPS of the world, honey.
Yeah, I love it.
I heard something the other day that I absolutely love. I have to share with you. Eve was framed.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
And therefore, women think everything is our fault.
It's such a beauty when we can recognize what's ours and what's not ours. That's one of the reasons why we talk about energy and emotions and getting that clarity, because we can sometimes be blown away by external things. But when we understand, okay, what's ours? Is that our fault? The guilt, so much guilt, right? Like, oh, wow. And taking that pressure off. I love that. I love that.
We carry so much.
Yeah.
So much that we don't even need to carry.
And see, that's one of the reasons why we talk about breaking free from that. Understand what are the limiting beliefs? What are the conflicts? What are the things that you've taken on in the history of your life? It's possible. A lot of times people don't realize this. It's possible to heal the past, to live more in the present, to have a bigger vision for the future. And it requires all of these different modalities: writing, expressing, getting it out, talking, speaking, sharing, and healing. And then we can share from a place of strength and resilience. And
the work that you're doing in the world is so needed. So needed.
Thank you. I'm excited. I mean, I love hearing about the transformations that happen. It's interesting because a lot of times our burdens can be lifted spiritually, depending on our faith, right? And then sometimes we still carry those burdens in our mind, body, and soul. And it's like, nah, let's take the pressure off. We just did the best that we could. When we learn better, we do better. One step at a time, be in the present. The future will take care of itself. The past is already gone. It's lovely.
And when we live into our authentic being, when we are our authentic selves, that's one more burden that you've just taken off your shoulders. Because then you don't have to carry that constant necessity to be somebody that you're not.
Yeah. Oh, so true. And so freeing. People, it's possible. Gina, how can they get a hold of you? So you already got your email address. Is there any other ways they can connect with you?
Through my website, GinaHoganEdwards.com. There's information there about my Woman Speak circles, my writing retreats, and the Women Writing for Change Facebook group. But you can reach out to me by email at any time.
Okay. Gina, this has been an absolute pleasure and honor for, I feel full like after this conversation.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And I hope this was inspirational. I know it was transformational to all that are listening. If you want to know more, definitely check out Gina's website. Make sure to be able to get connected with her, have a conversation, because seriously, but there's so much creativity and wisdom in each one of you who are listening to this. And the more support that you have to be able to amplify that, get it out, and really reclaim your power, own your uniqueness, unleash your greatness to the world. We're here to support you with that. And thanks so much for listening in. Gina, thank you so much for being here. Oh, this was an amazing.
Thank you. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Totally my pleasure. It's been an amazing another episode of Freedom Fridays. Look forward to seeing y'all again next time. Have an amazing weekend. Remember, you got this one step at a time. Enjoy the journey. There's so much beauty in life. Just expand your awareness to see it, believe it, and you can definitely achieve it. All right. Everyone have a good one. Bye, Gina, to everybody. Bye. Aloha.
Bye.